I have quite a lot of trans fans actually on my channel because we have several who turn up on the piano. The piano is a melting pot, right? And so trans sit down. I have great times with them. But I think if they insist on, calling them in a specific way, and you're compelled to use certain words, I think that's when my sympathy.
That's when it shifts from each to their own to being.
You have to say,
arrested for lie. You have to lie, basically. Well, if you don't believe it, you have to say what you don't believe, or you get threatened.
I'm sure you're cool with any trans, no problem. But
if
when they start getting really uptight,
you know what's quite funny about the Holly? Is it not Holly? What's her name?
India Willoughby.
India Willoughby.
Not Holly Willoughby.
She actually said, not Holly Willoughby. No, but she actually said, being a woman is a respected characteristic. And I thought, hang on a minute, have you not realised the irony in your statement? You're saying it's a respected characteristic, but therefore you shouldn't be able to force people to call yourself a woman because of actual.
But you're not allowed to.
genetic
You
women.
can call a trans woman a man. It's not illegal.
Can't. Apparently, she reckons it's illegal.
Well, I don't think it's a hate, because a hate crime, there has to be a crime, and it has to be linked to hate. So there hasn't been even a crime.
Well, I think the thing is when it's actually written on social media, if you say it to someone's face, but the fact that she actually wrote it, I think that's when people kind of get into trouble.
But what did she write? Do we know?
Well, I think she called it him.
Yeah.
Well, you're allowed to do that.
Are you sure?
So that's her view, and it's scientific fact in a way.
But actually, Scotland was trying to pass a law whereby for example, they owned a pub and somebody said something to somebody else in a private conversation that was deemed a hate crime, that the pub or bar or restaurant could be prosecuted.
The reality is,
though.
being a gender critical feminist is protected by the law. So if you believe that somebody who was previously a man will always be a man, then that is legally defensible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just when the law gets involved, right? Because as I said, the piano at St Pancras is a melting pot. We have everyone of every creed, colour, religion, gender, whatever.
It's a bit like Speaker's Corner,
in
a way.
Well, no, but there's aggro there, right? There's no aggro at the piano apart from the security and police. Until recently. And even then we sorted it out. I mean, it always had a happy ending, right? The video wasn't taken down.
I didn't see that bit.
Well, no, the video wasn't taken down, Ash, right? Because the whole point is that YouTube was threatening that. The video wasn't taken down. The little pinks, the communists went away. So it was a victory, actually. But it's a
and you got a massive. How many followers did you get extra?
I got 400,000 in a month, which is a lot.
So obviously, if you were a Chinese spy with the aim of not drawing attention to yourself, receiving 10 million views on YouTube is not going to be.
It's the Streisand effect par excellence. There was a Chinese spy in there, and even one of the people involved put her name online. The stupidity. These got to be the worst spies in human history, because everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows who they were involved with, and I think they're just shut up.
Right, they're all identified.
They're all of them.
I had a friend at the European Parliament who employed a Chinese spy. I'm not joking. On behalf of MI6, right? They knew he was a Chinese spy, and you know what he used to do? He used to work late into the night. They used to leave documents around the office that were just nonsense.
Right.
They'd been written by the security services, and used to meticulously photocopy them and send them to Beijing. But anyway, on the issue of free speech, this India Willoughby thing, we mentioned it a second ago, but I just worry now that the police are trying to crack down on free speech. I believe, and I might be proved wrong, that if Sadiq Khan becomes British Prime Minister, he's going to extend hate crime legislation so that criticising...
So if Sadiq Khan becomes...
If Sadiq Khan becomes Prime Minister,
okay.
Is he going to become Prime Minister?
Well, okay. If Sadiq Khan becomes Prime Minister, I think that what he'll do is he will make it a hate crime to criticise the government's immigration policy.
Well, that's happening in Ireland.
Well, the nefarious thing about the hate laws is they don't change the law, which is from the 90s. It just becomes reasonable now to not say this about someone, and the court says it is.
Like person
but the law doesn't change, so that's terrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But the thing is, what will happen in India Willoughby? I mean, I don't know what will happen, but it's Northumbria Police, I think. So what will happen? She hasn't broken any law. What's her name? Harry
JK
Potter.
Rowling.
Yeah.
But she'll get hassled from the police, and she'll get interviewed,
but the police love investigating these crimes because they're so easy, right?
No violence.
Right, there's no violence. We have a nice JK Rowling. We go and see JK Rowling. We ask her some questions.
She signs my book for my kid. Yeah.
So they love these crimes. Hate crimes.
Well, they make up stuff. I mean, look at what they did with the From the River to the Sea on Big Ben. They go, oh no, that's not. But yet Sadiq Khan, the Prime Rishi Sunak, said, you know, it is a anti-Semitic trope.
Well, from the river to the sea means that there's no Israel.
But on India Willoughby, is this person just a bully?
It's a really good question. It's a really, really good question. I actually think that the law is actually encouraging trans people to become bullies because there's so much law on their side that I think they know that if anybody says the slightest thing and they've got a narcissistic personality disorder, they can just go after people they don't like using the hate crime thing. So I think the law is actually almost encouraging them to go after people. And if there's a bit of animosity, you know, just get the police involved.
And do we end up in a position where I'm allowed to believe anything I want? I can believe I'm a squirrel, and then the police will go in and and criminally prosecute you.
I'd like that.
And maybe put you in prison for disagreeing with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what's happening is that the law is making trans people lose sympathy. Okay, when trans people go after easy targets and they use the full force of the law, public sympathy goes away from them because I have sympathy with trans. I have no issue with trans people, but when they start throwing the law around with things like this, people just say, "Hold on a minute."
It's just a small amount, though, a very small amount of militant people, and also a lot of my friends that gay men are really angry with the whole trans militant movement because they're like, hang on a minute, we've fought for all these years to be
it's like the old-fashioned gays,
normal.
the old-fashioned gays as opposed to the woke gays.
The old-fashioned gays had all been accepted and now they've been brought back into this.
They feel like they've gone back.
The old-fashioned gays, the old-fashioned gays don't want to be part of this, right?
No, especially all the other BTQI or
well, there was
whatever.
the lesbian Newcastle fan. That was Northumbria Police. They looked on her YouTube and she said, she basically said the same thing as the Harry Potter writer.
And that was a gay woman, wasn't it?
Yeah, and she's been kicked out of Newcastle United now.
It's
who are owned by Saudi Arabians, ironically. You couldn't be trans,
But you know what? It's all this hate crime stuff. You know, the more they keep bringing it in, and the more people keep prosecuting innocent people or people with just a minor misdemeanor, the more the public just wake up. I think it has the opposite effect.
It's Orwellian, isn't it?
It's totally Orwellian.
I'm not sure that's right because we've now have a disconnect between the police, the government, and the public. So it doesn't matter the extent to which people are waking up to this. They are still being threatened with being silent. You know, somebody once said that tyranny is where everybody agrees on the lie.
Yes.
And effectively, what will happen now, and it's going to happen to me at some point, the police are going to knock on my door and it's going to be something like, I claimed that somebody with a penis and testicles was a man. Therefore,
how dare you?
And I will be in a position where I have to either accept this and say, yes, somebody with a penis and testicles is a woman, or go to prison. And what will happen is the police are there to enforce that. And what you used to have in the Soviet Union was everybody knew it was nonsense, but nobody would admit it.
I think that's a really, really good point. I think we haven't quite got there yet because they're all. I mean, social media is great for this. I see those trans people in America, and some of them are ridiculous. Like these 6-foot bodybuilders, they walk into a store with a miniskirt and they insist on being called ma'am. There's a few of these, and it just makes it absolutely ridiculous for the whole trans movement. And then they punch somebody out if they don't call them a woman.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed that
they're just looking for a girl, aren't they? Literally.
Have you ever noticed hashtag be kind?
They're all arseholes.
Is the proof that you will be a really badly behaved person.
It's totally, and you know what? The more we talk about tolerance, the more it's the opposite. The more it's actually intolerance. It's like we're living in. It's like upside down. Yeah. Tolerance means intolerance. Because if you don't play along with the lie, you're liable to be prosecuted.
Well, that's the line in 1984, isn't it? They forced us to disbelieve what we could see with our own eyes.
2 + 2 = 5. Take you to room 101.
Because we learnt all this in school in the 80s. I mean,
it didn't make much good, did it, Ash?
And they said, 1984 will never be in that, and then we just used it as a playbook.
Well, do you know they don't teach it in schools now?
I know. We're here,
actually been taken off the syllabus.
They've made it illegal, haven't they? Sort of one of those dodgy books.
Yeah,
like
dodgy,
Winnie the Pooh and that.
No, they've actually got a trigger warning on 1984 at university.
No,
yeah,
I'm
not
joking.
And Shakespeare and stuff
and
like
Shakespeare,
that. Dickens.
They've got triggered in case people get triggered, right? Now,
you tell people they're going to be triggered, they're going to be triggered.
Well, they're going to be triggered.
I'm just triggered from that when you said that.
We're getting triggered all over the place.
Calm down, Ash.
But Brendan, if you are, you're somebody who's interested in literature.
Yeah.
This whole idea of effectively the de facto book burning by the trans movement? That's a worry.
It is totally a worry.
I mean, I know they're not literally doing it, but
you know what? It's. I think it's more the attack on people, though. When I see JK Rowling and this attack, you know, people should, and also the attack on the right. You know, the guy, Graham Linehan, who did the Father Ted. He's under a lot of attack as well.
Well, it ruined his life.
It totally ruined
his
his
marriage
life.
fell apart and everything.
I mean, that guy is just suffering, and like the thing is, when I meet, look, the issue is this: when I meet trans people at the piano, we're mates. Like, there's no issue. Absolutely no issue with any trans person. We're great. I've no issue with them. Call them what they want. It all goes wrong when the government gets involved and starts passing draconian laws.